This is John Dollar of Prayer Builders, and in Winona, and I am here in First Thessalonians, and we're up to verse 10 in chapter 2. And all of these verses, Paul is just sharing his heart. He's giving examples of what, and I think he probably got really good of rehearsing the type of an example he was being. I mean, if anybody kind of had to walk on coals with this type of stuff, it was probably him, because he would have been the first one of the apostles to be distrusted with the background that he came from. So he was always like trying to, he was trying to really err on the side of love and purity, and trying to leave no room for questioning his motives. But it's really good right here in verse 10. Look at this here again. I mean, this is really something when you live a life that you can tell people, you are witnesses that I have lived this way. I mean, for you to say that, because if you hadn't lived that way, those people could look at you and they would probably be quick to say, "Oh, we saw you do this and this and this and this." No, you can't say you're witnesses to this is the way I've lived. And in the King James here it says, "You were witnesses." Look at this, and it's so powerful. You are witnesses, and then he pulls the God card and he says, "And God also." God is even my witness that I have lived how? And in the King James, it actually says holily, which is kind of a tongue twister there, but it's not just holy, but holily, and justly, and blamelessly. He said, I lived basically holily, justly, and blamelessly before you. That word holily basically means he was always doing what was right and pure. He basically was saying, whatever I did, you're my witnesses and God's my witness that everything I did, I did what was right, and I basically lived pure before you. And then that word justly means that everything he did, he was just. He was fair. He showed no partiality, just, fair. And then the last thing that in the Greek that can actually mean is agreeable. I mean, so many times today we just all want to be disagreeable. It's real easy to get disagreeable. That's why I don't listen to some stuff, because depending on what you listen to all the time, that can actually make a big difference in it if you're agreeable or disagreeable. My wife likes me being agreeable. She don't want me being disagreeable. And so anyway, and then it's the word blameless. Now when he said this word blameless, this is a pretty strong word. This is a word that normally, like sometimes some Christians just walk around saying all the time, well, oh, we're just nothing but sinners, we just sin every day. We're just doing things. Paul is like saying just the opposite here. Paul was living in some kind of spirit power and life that he wasn't making the same mistakes you may be making every day. We shouldn't be living that way. We should be living on the straight and narrow. We should be living in the way. Jesus is the way. And those things shouldn't be having any rule over us. But that word blameless literally means, because he said he was holily, he lived justly and blamelessly. That word blamelessly means faultless. He said, you couldn't have found fault with me. There was one time, it was just not too long ago, my mother-in-law died. And my wife and I were one of the last people that had a good strong word with her at her bedside. She looked into my eyes, holding on to my hand, and she literally said, you and I have never had a cross word. And you know what? It was just kind of like that took me back. I wasn't really thinking too much about it. But I mean, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking too much about it concerning myself. But my mother-in-law, now I don't know, sometimes with in-laws, there's a lot of disagreeable stuff that happens. My mother-in-law looked me in the eye and said, "We have never had," and these were some of the last words I heard her say before she went to be with Jesus. And she said, "We've never had a cross word." That's kind of like what Paul said here. This is kind of like what Paul was saying. He says, "You guys are my witness." Why? Because the people that we live with every day should be seeing fruit in us, and they shouldn't be seeing that contradicts who we are in Jesus. We need to be walking in the Spirit, and then it says we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. But Paul actually says here. He said that word blameless means faultless, blameless. And then the last thing that I saw, I think it was in Thayer's, it said no cause for censure. Now you know what? I can tell you right now in social media, if I started there's a lot of people that get censured on all kinds of social media. And some of the stuff that they're getting censured for is not the gospel. It's for it being disagreeable. I mean, some of the stuff, and even what they're saying, there may be truth to it, but I am telling you, right now, we are living in a time where we need to be wise as serpents, and we need to be gentle as doves. Right now, we need to be I am here to preach the gospel. I am here to help you. I am not here to say things to shut down the lines of communication between us, because I love you. And I don't care if you agree with me or not. I'm going to still be agreeable. And I can tolerate you. It doesn't mean, and I can actually be tolerant without compromising in any way. Because it's like I care about people, and I am here to help. So anyway, let's just go ahead. We'll close with this verse, but I hope this was a blessing to you. Always be encouraged. Paul said that we were constantly supposed to encourage one another with these words, that Jesus is coming back.